The word audit scares some people, but for those who have their paperwork in order, it doesn't bother them. But when talking about a life audit, does that scare you? Should it scare you? Let's talk about it. Hey, this is Off the Cuff, and I'm Steve from TorahFamily.org. I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be a short and to-the-point teaching. Some things just need to be quick and concise, and this is one of them. Starting out, 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. Examine yourselves to see whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves. Do you not realize that Jesus Christ is in you? Unless, of course, you fail the test. Now, he said, examine yourselves. Test yourselves. And remember, he's talking to believers here. Have you ever taken the time and literally examined your life? I'm talking every element of your life. Every element. I know a lot of people who go on certain diets that require them to write down everything that goes into their stomach. If they eat something, they have to log it down. That way, at the end of the day, they can examine what they took in and see if they stayed on their diet. Now, shouldn't we be doing the same thing in our spiritual walk? Yes, we should. Every night, we should examine our day and test our actions and our motives to the Word. Psalms chapter 4, verse 4. In your anger, do not sin. When you are on your beds, search your hearts and be silent. Selah. Search your hearts. Can you honestly say you do this at night? When was the last time you really did an audit of your day and checked it to the eternal Word? Where is your life today? How close is your relationship with our Heavenly Father? Please, don't answer that too quickly. If He spoke to you today, would you know it? How loud would He have to speak to get your attention? If something of spiritual significance happened in the world, would you know what to do? I'm very concerned for the body of Messiah today. I once saw a meme that said, if Paul was alive today, the church in the U.S. would be getting a letter. While I can see the point being made, and I agree with it, what would be in that letter that would apply to us? Do we really think we're that good that we wouldn't be addressed? Allow me to remind ourselves of a verse, Romans 12:3. For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment, in accordance with the measure of faith God has given you. Think of yourself with sober judgment. That's how we're to judge ourselves. Do we do that? Or do we look at ourselves and pat ourselves on the back because we think we're doing so good? How many times have we read through the scriptures and thought, boy, so-and-so really needs to be reading that verse? Now don't tell me that you've never thought that before. How easy it is for anyone to read the scriptures and never see themselves when those in the wrong are being addressed. How often are we really honest with ourselves in this matter? Please consider watching our teaching titled, Evil People. It can be difficult at times to admit we're not doing good in our walk with our Heavenly Father. Seriously, it's only natural for a person to think they're doing good. In fact, that's why we read this in Proverbs 21:2. All a man's ways seem right to him, but Yahweh weighs the heart. So when we start examining our ways, maybe we need to take off the biased outlook of ourselves and get an unbiased opinion. Thus, we read this in Psalms 26, verse 2. Test me, O Yahweh, and try me. Examine my heart and my mind. But I gotta say, don't pray this if you don't mean it. Trust me, He will show you. Also, Proverbs 17:3. The crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but Yahweh tests the heart. 1 Chronicles 29:17. I know, my God, that you test the heart and are pleased with integrity. Though Yahweh doesn't tempt us, I believe it's very possible that Yahweh allows temptations to come our way for us to see what we need to work on, to show us the weak areas in our lives that we need to strengthen. So, what's He showing you? Are you brushing your sin under the rug or realizing a particular sin is hindering your walk? Each day we allow that sin to stay. We don't realize it, but it only causes us to drift farther away from Him every day. Thus, we read Psalm 90, verse 12. Teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. That we may gain a heart of wisdom. Now, let's pause for a moment. Having a sober mind of judgment here. Are you walking in wisdom? Do you fight your sin or give in to it? Are you at war with your sin or at peace with it? If you're allowing sin to remain in your life unchecked, then you're not numbering your days aright. But He could be numbering your days in a way that you don't want. Thus, we read in Ephesians 5:15, Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. Be very careful then how you live. How do you approach life? As carefree or very careful? When you get up in the morning, do you remember we're in the middle of a war? Or do you get going into your day so fast that you completely forget the dangers around us? Thus, not being very careful. Are you living unwise or wise? A question that could be rephrased as, are you being foolish or wise? Something that even points to the parable of the 10 virgins in Matthew 25. 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. All were virgins, mind you, implying to me that they were all believers. But still, only 5 were wise. Foolish or wise? So, in our efforts of doing self-audits, what should we be remembering? What should be our focus? What will help us improve our walk with our Heavenly Father? Romans chapter 12, verse 2 sheds a little light on that. Romans 12:2. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. So when we test ourselves, we have to make sure it's coming from a mind that's transformed and renewed in Him and not from a mind that follows the pattern of this world. The days we're living in are getting darker by the day. I sincerely believe we need to examine our hearts daily like never before. And it has to be done from an unbiased view, willing to face our sin head on and not make excuses for it. Don't let another day go by without starting a regular routine of audits in your life. Well, That's all I have. Think about it. Pray about it. But more than anything, be a doer of the word and not a hearer only. Until next time, shalom.